welcome to MEM Summit 2024 in Paris. Let everyone know who you are, what you do. Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. My name's Simon Townsend. I am the field CTO for ControlUp, and we are a gold sponsor, and very, very pleased to be here. Our second year of sponsorship. Just come out of the keynote from downstairs. Phenomenal turnout, I might say.
Right. I was going to ask you, what do you thought about the keynote?
Yeah. Super interesting. So first and foremost, very, very pleased to see so many people here.
Right.
And congratulated the team that have obviously put the event on.
Right.
But in addition to that, obviously very, very keen and interested to hear all the good things that are coming from the Intune team and the Microsoft team, right?
And the Windows land.
Correct. Exactly that. Exactly that. So no, great people, great event, great location. So
Right.
far so good.
So obviously you're finding a lot of value here if this is your second time sponsoring this event, right?
Yeah. It's an interesting time in the market, right? You've got Windows 11 migrations going on. You've got new people looking to adopt things like Windows 365 Cloud PC and
Right.
AVD. You've got a load of people that have historically done on-prem VDI that are also looking at moving to the cloud.
Right.
Everybody that had SCCM is now looking at either moving to or has already moved and is looking to further develop their Intune deployments. So there's a lot going on in the world of endpoint management right now.
Right.
And so pulling people together, being able to listen into keynotes, get educated, and also speak to all of those other technologies that are part of the ecosystem and learn from each other. These types of events end up being super, super important.
Super valuable.
Yeah, exactly
Right.
Yeah.
And gone are the days when we used to talk about endpoint management. It was very device management focused, right? You're just managing the device for patching and things like that. Now there's a lot more to it, right? You got security, you got end user productivity.
Correct.
So much more. Copilot,
Yep.
AI is huge right now.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
What does your company do?
So interestingly enough, carrying on from what you were just saying, ControlUp is a digital employee experience management platform.
Okay.
So we sit in the category of DEX. We've been around 10 years, growing extremely rapidly as we move from being a pure VDI desktop as a service offering to being something that goes across the complete estate.
Okay.
And to your point earlier, we monitor, capture metrics from not just the machine and the device, but all the way up through the applications and the network, all the way up to the user, including the user's sentiment, to really measure an employee's digital experience.
Okay.
So regardless of whether you're deploying Windows 365 Cloud PC, whether you're deploying a Windows 11 laptop managed by Intune, it's about making sure that from the moment that employee starts at an organization to the moment they leave, we are monitoring their experience. And ultimately, we are enabling organizations to report on what we would call the employee score. So all of these metrics are bubbling up. How was their Intune? How was their Microsoft Teams experience?
Right.
How was their experience when launching an application? What were their logon times like? How quickly did that ticket get resolved, and what was their sentiment around it? All of that bubbles up to an employee score that allows IT to take a far higher level view of how the digital workspace is performing, what the user's experience is like, and arguably how IT is performing as well.
Right, so it gives IT and also the C-levels an insight into how these tools from Microsoft are actually functioning and where we need to put more emphasis. And
yeah, you raise a really interesting point, because DEX is sort of pitched at two very different levels in an organization. It's an incredibly powerful, dare I say, single pane of glass, but it's an incredibly powerful tool to monitor and remediate for IT admins, endpoint managers, but it also gives C-level that employee score to really judge how IT is performing and how productive employees are actually being. And it's interesting as you look at the UEM market, you look at DEX, you look at endpoint security, you look at service management, they're starting to almost blur together and start to overlap or at least integrate.
Sure.
And so, even down to balancing employee experience with patching, vulnerability assessment, device posture, and helping organizations deal with those issues significantly quicker as well is becoming even more important.
Right. So, in between sessions during the breaks, and I saw there was a big crowd, right, with most of the sponsors, especially ControlUp. And what kind of conversations were happening with attendees at your booth?
So I think first and foremost, lots of people here really need end-to-end visibility over their estate. They're having to manage a far more heterogeneous estate. You guys at Microsoft already supporting, not just Microsoft devices anymore, but Apple and iOS and things that were mentioned.
Phones and
exactly. But being able to measure end to end from the device that someone is using to the resources, perhaps even the cloud PC that they're connecting to, and everything in between, and their application stack. I think that is becoming more of a challenge. People are also looking at consolidating the amount of tools they've got. If you look traditionally on a Windows desktop, there's a lot of complexity and a lot of agents and technologies from different vendors that tend to be. So people are looking at asking questions, for instance, can ControlUp integrate with Intune? And can I have a Intune ControlUp single pane of glass? And so that's one of the conversations we were having today. And then obviously, lots and lots of organizations at the moment, as I said before, looking at their Windows 10 to Windows 11 migrations. How can technology accelerate that and remove some of the concerns and challenges that we historically would have seen in a migration? And then the move to things like Cloud PC and AVD, which, that whole
it's phenomenal.
50 million virtualized seats out there, right? That whole market is seeing a lot of movement at the moment. And, I've been selling virtual desktop infrastructure for 20 years. And the fact that I can literally this morning decide to go in to Azure and spin a machine up in a number of minutes and have it managed by Intune is, phenomenal.
Right. And I know we had a conversation earlier before we sat down about my background, where I came from, and I was in the higher education industry, and we did our a version of AVD as well, but it was pretty complicated. The setup and to manage it and to the infrastructure and things like that. Use case was fantastic, right, for students and labs and teaching and stuff like that, but it was very deep and complicated. And now with when you're looking at Windows 365, it's so simple.
Correct.
So easy.
Correct.
It's like it's just where we've come from, and now where we're headed, and it's unbelievable.
I always use the how would I help my parents analogy, right?
Yes.
And my parents came to me probably about 9 months ago now, and they were like, Simon, we need to go and buy a new laptop.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want you going anywhere near it, right? Because I don't want another 5-10 years of me managing your laptop. And to your point, it's significantly easier for me just to spin them up a cloud PC.
Yeah. Use
I know
whatever you're using, and that's it.
I know it's going to be secure, right? I know it's going to get patched.
Right.
If I need to, I can get on it and control it and help them out. So,
oh my God.
That's simplest. That's as simple as it gets.
Yeah. The other thing that I really like what you touched upon earlier was about, third-party solutions that have just become, in a lot of organizations, as they've as they had implemented, some kind of technology, and then they're like, hey, we need this third-party tool, and then they add on and add on and add on, and then
Yeah.
you get the bloat, right?
Yeah.
But as Microsoft is now innovating and putting a lot of these feature sets within their products,
Correct.
The need of those spaces or smaller piecemeal kind of,
Correct.
it's not needed anymore,
Yep.
kind of a thing. But I like what you guys are doing. You're giving a lot of good reporting, a lot of great insights.
Yeah.
And stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I think it's about extending
Yes.
what Microsoft
Extending
is
what's
doing,
already-
right?
yes.
Not ever replacing or adding on top of.
That's a good way of
And
looking at it.
even at the most basic level, if you look at a lot of the remediation that we have built into our product,
Yeah.
PowerShell's at the heart of it,
Yes.
right? And that would be, just one very basic example of how, our technology and our solution is extending. But, the integration with Windows 365 and the management we do there, and the integration with Intune
Right.
would be another classic example, right? Putting the tools that people need inside the products that they use day in, day out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, why should people come to this conference?
That is a very easy thing to answer, which is if you are involved in any way in deploying what I would call the digital workspace, or involved in any form of endpoint management, whether you've been using, crikey, what was before SCCM? SMS, right?
Yes.
SMS, SCCM, Intune, deploying Windows, deploying virtual cloud PCs, looking at things like how do we patch vulnerability assessment, how do we measure employee experience. If you're an IT
If you're in that
administrator
space.
in that space, then this definitely is the event for you, because it's full, and there was no seats left this morning
Right.
in the auditorium.
It was packed.
Absolutely.
Standing room only.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so you've just got like-minded people from across the globe, 35 different countries,
Yes.
all in the same place for 3 days, talking about what they do day in, day out. And
Right.
so, there's no better way to learn. And I think, there's a lot of content online these days. Even this event is obviously being streamed at times. But, being able to sit down, talk to people about their experience, even learning from you this morning on the lift on the way up about what you used to do in
Sure.
education, right?
Yeah.
It's experiences, and we learn from each other in that
Yeah,
way.
you
So-
learn commonalities and things like that too. And on top of great speakers who know what they are doing, they know their technologies and stuff like that. We also have Microsoft experts here, right? Engineering,
Yep.
product groups and stuff like that you can have conversations, you can talk about your pain points.
Correct.
They can bring those feedback, back to Microsoft and say, hey, this is what we heard.
That's
this
right.
is where we need to do,
Yep.
and things like that. Fantastic. Loving Paris?
Loving Paris. The sun is out today, which is nice.
Yeah.
Good location, right next to the river.
Yes.
So yeah, looking forward to the continuation of the conference.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Hey.
It's been great.
Great to meet you.
Cheers.
Thank you.